I hope I'm not beating a dead horse here, but I just wanted to make another video just emphasizing how much I think a crime it would be. You know, it would be an injustice to put Draymond Green in the Hall of Fame while you still have guys like Chris Webber, you still have guys like Tom Chambers, you still have guys like Kevin Johnson, Ben Wallace, Sean Kemp, Tim Hardaway, Mark Price, Mark Aguirre, and several others who are not in the Hall of Fame. It makes no sense whatsoever. I'm telling you, if they do this, man, it's pretty much making me have the same. It pretty much will make me view the the Basketball Hall of Fame. It'll start making me look at them the same way I look at WWE. Gimmicky, um, and a lot of politics involved. Draymond Green, his best year to me was that 73 win team. You know, that was his best year. He was solid. You know, I give him that. That year he was pretty solid. I still think that his Defensive Player of the Year award was more media manufactured more than anything else. One of the guys that's been criminally underrated when it pertains to his defensive prowess is Rudy Gobert. Okay, unfortunately, Rudy Gobert, who's also a pariah now because everybody want to blame the coronavirus epidemic in the NBA on him all of a sudden. But his crime is he plays with the Utah Jazz, and unfortunately, in today's environment, where they only talk about two or three fucking teams all day, even though it's a 30-team league, if you play in Utah, um, your career is just going to be overshadowed. If you want to, if you want to get an idea how I know that the media and the way that they cover it is terrible as opposed to when I was growing up. When we were growing up as kids, we were basketball fans who happened to have favorite players and favorite teams, but we were fans of the sport partially because of the way they presented it. They presented Michael Jordan. Okay, he was a star, but they talked about everybody. Okay, they talked about every fucking body. We knew that's why everybody across the league were stars because everybody got shine. With some fans, even you got to think about some of the stars on other teams. You got to think about, okay, there's that guy, De'Aaron Fox. That's his name. Uh, yeah. Donovan Mitchell. That's right, Donovan Mitchell. You got to think about it. They do a terrible presentation in sports, man. Terrible on television. Um, but Draymond Green, this season confirms that he's a bum, man. He's a bum. Okay, the man can't even average 8, 6, and 6. This is the same dude that said he's the greatest defensive player of all time, but constantly gets burned by other offensive players, right? It's the same dude that said, like Charles Barkley, and even Skip Bayless with his idiot analysis backed it up, saying that he thought Draymond was better than Charles Barkley, which shows that Skip don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Um, so I could put up good numbers on the bad team too. Well, are you doing it? Have you done it? No. All you've done is be mediocre, struggle to get into double digits, no matter who the opponent was. I don't want to hear this shit about he's not a scorer because all I fucking heard for years is the system is holding Draymond Green back. If he wanted to, he could average 20 points per game easy. Uh, he's Charles Barkley with a jump shot. All this dumb shit that I knew was fucking bullshit. I knew it was fucking bullshit, man. And I was silently, eagerly. If you notice at the beginning of the season, I was quiet when it came to Draymond because I knew he was going to fail. I knew it. I couldn't wait. I said, I'm going to give him about 2 weeks. Okay? First couple games were terrible. I said, let me give him another week. When he failed for the first 2 weeks, I said, here it go. You know? That's why I'm on his neck. But anyway, the point of this video is, if he ever gets into the Hall of Fame, Chris Webber best to be in there. He best to be in there. Okay? He best to be in there. Because Draymond's had the fortune of hitting the lottery when it comes to having teammates. You, last year, you numbskull, were on a team with 3 future Hall of Famers. Kevin Durant, uh, uh, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson. All right? 3 future Hall of Famers. Andre Iguodala, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. I don't. He was a really good player with the Sixers. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. But I tell you what, I would rather have him in the Hall of Fame than over Draymond. I guarantee you that. Because at least when he was on the Sixers in the post-Iverson era, he was putting up 17, 18 points a game. You know what I'm saying? At least he was doing something. But yeah, this dude hit the lottery when it came to teammates. This man hit the lottery, and you fucked it up because of your stupid ass fucking ego. I hope Durant was sitting back just laughing at his motherfucking monkey ass this year. But yeah, Chris Webber is a Hall of Famer, man. And I have no fucking idea why he's not in the Hall yet. None. This man's been retired since 2008. We're in 2020, and he's not in the Hall yet. I think it's possibly punishment for some discretions that happened when he was in college. I'm thinking it's still punishment for that. But at the end of the day, it's been over a decade. When you look at what this man has accomplished and what he accomplished in the NBA, yeah, he doesn't have any championships. But the main reason for that is that during the era that he played in, from 1993 to 2008, first of all, he was on bad teams at first. He was on those Warriors teams that started getting bad by the mid 90s due to the trade with Mitch Richmond. Then Tim Hardaway got injured. Then Chris Mullin started getting injured, and he wasn't the same player anymore. So I'm saying, like, he didn't really have a good team when he was with the Warriors. Then when he went to the Bullets, at the time they were still the Bullets, they made some noise for a while. In fact, they made the playoffs in '97. They eked out Cleveland and made the playoffs in '97 and had a really good first round series against the champion Chicago Bulls. I mean, they lost 3-0, but those games were all competitive for the most part. They were competitive ball games. And in game 2, it took a 55-point effort from Jordan to beat that team. And then in game 3, it took a drive and dunk from Pippen. And also that dunk where Pippen was fouled and he landed on his back, that injury, in my opinion, helped to precipitate the slow decline of Scottie Pippen because he injured his back on that play, and he wasn't the same player the rest of that playoffs. And when you look at, past that, that remained a chronic injury for him pretty much for the rest of his career. He already had back injuries all the way to his rookie year, back issues. But anyway, the point I'm digressing. That Wizards team / Bullets team, they won 44 games that year. I've said before, if you take that team with him, Rod Strickland, Calvert Chaney, Tracy Murray, uh, Juwan Howard, Webber himself, George Mirasan, okay? You take that team and you pushed it to like 10 years later, 2010 or late 2000s, that team would have won 50-something games. Easy. Easy. But when you played in a conference that was that loaded at the time, You had the world champion Chicago Bulls. You had the New York Knicks, who were still good. You had the Miami Heat, who were a really good team. You had Detroit Pistons and prime Grant Hill. You had Orlando, where Penny, before the injuries hit, he was still arguably the best point guard in the NBA. You had the Atlanta Hawks with the Kimmy Mutombo, Steve Smith, and Plastic Man, Stacey Augmon, and Mookie Blaylock. You know what I'm saying? You had like a lot of Charlotte Hornets with Glenn Rice, who had a career year that year. You know, you had some talent there, but ultimately injuries ruined them the next year when they became the Wizards. And if I'm not mistaken, there was some issues between Juwan Howard and Chris Webber, and ultimately he was traded to the Kings. Now, back then, that was almost like being traded to Siberia. You know what I'm saying? Because the Kings have been an awful team. It essentially was a trade for Rich Richmond for Chris Webber. Richmond had been putting up superstar numbers with that team, but they had been awful every fucking year, pretty much. Awful team. So what Chris Webber did that year, I thought he was, in my opinion, I thought he should have won the MVP award that year. The year before that, with under Mitch Richmond, they were 27 and 55. Chris Webber's first year there in Sacramento, his first year there, they won the same amount of games. They won the same amount of games, 27, in a 50-game schedule, because that was a strike year. Okay? Had there been a full season, they would have won 45 games or so. That's a huge improvement. Chris Webber really worked on his game that year. He worked on his conditioning. He came in and he led the NBA in rebounds. I think he averaged like almost 14 rebounds a game that year. 20 points, 4 or 5 assists per game. He was balling. In fact, man, let me say this too. Now, we all know that at least one of Steve Nash's MVP awards was probably a gift, okay? Especially, well, really both of them. All right, you can make the argument the first one when the Suns won 62 games that year. You can make the argument that, okay, well, I can see them giving it to him that year. But the second one, that was a gift. All right, you got to remember that politics sometimes do play a role in these awards. That was post Malice Palace, okay? That was post Malice at the Palace, and the league had an image at the time of being thuggish, guys with the tattoos and cornrows, and the game had got too, quote unquote, urban, if you catch my drift, right? The game had got too urban, and as a result of that, the NBA, Commissioner Stern and all those guys, the powers to be in the NBA, they wanted to broaden the NBA. So that's when you started seeing, at that time, the first inklings of the European invasion in the NBA. All right, that's when you started seeing the Manu Ginobili's and the Peja Stojakovic and the Hedo Turkoglu's. You know what I'm saying? You started seeing these guys come in, these shooters, and you started seeing, that's when they started changing the rules, and the game became less physical and more predicated on what European guys are good at, which is shooting the basketball. Okay? I'm just saying. These are just my observations. And also, basically what I'm saying is, Steve Nash getting the MVP gives the NBA a more acceptable face. You know what I'm saying? A guy that's more acceptable to the masses, all right, as far as MVP. I think politics played a role in Karl Malone getting that second MVP in '99 because when you look at his overall numbers and you look at what Utah did, they're not all that exceptional. I see Karl Malone getting in '97, but '99 didn't make any sense. There were more deserving candidates. You had Tim Duncan, my guy, who I say was Webber. You can make a case Alonzo Mourning should have won it. He had a career year, over 20 points, 11 rebounds. He led the NBA in block shots. Miami was still one of the best teams in the NBA. You can make a case that Allen Iverson should have gotten it. That was the first year Allen Iverson took that step up as far as being a potent scorer. That's when he switched over to the shooting guard position as opposed to playing the point. He averaged, I think he won the scoring title that year. I think he averaged like 26.8 points per game, which goes to show you how different the NBA was back then. 26.8 points per game led the NBA in scoring. And more importantly, the Sixers were winning. All right, finally. When they coalesced around Allen Iverson and got Jerry Stackhouse ass out of there, they became a winning team. But anyway, these were more deserving candidates to me than Karl Malone, because I think Karl Malone got it, in my opinion. I hope I'm not going too far into this, but I just want to get this point out. I think Karl Malone got the MVP a little bit because he was an OG. An OG, it was a consolation prize for losing those finals to Jordan and the Bulls. And it was sort of like masking the fact that it was a generational shift after that year. You know what I'm saying? Jordan had retired, Drexler had retired, Elijah Warren had fell off, Barkley was falling off, Stockton was starting to slide. You get me? It was a generational shift. So with Karl Malone getting the MVP award, it kind of placated some of the old heads that were still watching the game, and you know what I'm saying? So that's one of the angles. It was a career achievement award, in my opinion. A lifetime achievement award. Which some people say that LeBron would have gotten if the season hadn't been suspended. But Chris Webber, his best years were with the Sacramento Kings by far. Um, he really helped turn that franchise around, and he was a hell of a player, man. Before that leg injury, before he had that leg injury, where he lost his explosiveness afterwards, but Chris Webber was a beast, man. Chris Webber was the prototypical point forward. Okay, like if you put Chris Webber on the Warriors instead of Draymond Green and have him do what Draymond Green does, he would do it better, and he'd be a more potent weapon, and it would truly be a dream team out there. Like literally, it would be unfair to play NBA basketball. Like I don't think the Warriors would lose more than, barring injury, they wouldn't lose more than 5 games in a year. And that's just playing against the best teams. So yeah, Chris Webber never won a championship. But before his career, he averaged 20 points, a hair under 10 rebounds, over 4 assists per game. Okay. Um, he didn't win any championships, but that's mostly because throughout his career, his competition included guys like Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, okay, Akeem Olajuwon in the Western Conference, in the Eastern Conference. Oh yeah, and later on, of course, Shaq, Kobe. You know what I'm saying? In the Eastern Conference, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. You know, he played against the best players of all times. And in his best years with the Kings, he was going up against that Shaq and Kobe team, man. I mean, and you can make the argument, man. I know a lot of Laker fans don't want to hear this. Some people feel like that 2002 team got cheated a little bit, man, in Game 6. You know, that game, if you watch it, man, all I'm going to say is that game was definitely suspicious. I watched that game live, and you could tell something wasn't right with that game. I'm not discounting the Lakers championship that year, but people who think that the Kings team got robbed, they have a strong case because Tim Donaghy has confirmed it, even though the league says he's lying about it. But of course, they're going to say that. And if you watch it if you watch the game yourself, being unbiased, you see some real fucked up shit in that game. But still, Chris Webber is a Hall of Famer. Okay, unlike some of these other guys, like a Tim Hardaway or Kevin Johnson, where you can bring up, well, yeah, they played at a high level, but injuries ruined his career. Can't say that about Chris Webber. Now, the last few years of his career, he wasn't the same guy because of the injury. What was it, Achilles injury he had? Or a knee injury? I can't remember which injury it was. But he wasn't the same player after that injury. But for over a decade, Chris Webber was one of the best forwards in the game, man. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the best forwards. It was, to me, the pecking order for power forwards at the time. It was Tim Duncan, then Kevin Garnett, and then Chris Webber. To me, that was the pecking order. And the first two dudes are definitely Hall of Famers. And in my opinion, you know what I'm saying, Chris Webber should be a Hall of Famer. He should have been in the fucking Hall of Fame. He should have been in the fucking Hall, man. Matter of fact, this ain't the last video I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep bringing these videos, bringing up players that should be in the Hall of Fame over fucking Draymond Green. All right, I'm gonna keep doing these videos, man. I'm gonna go old school with y'all, man. I'm gonna do a video of Mark Aguirre, man, because it don't make no sense that these motherfuckers. I shouldn't say motherfuckers, but these guys aren't in the Hall of Fame. But they talk about Draymond's Hall of Famer, man. Get out of here, man. Shit, really, honestly, I'm gonna say a name right now. Only old heads can remember. Gus Williams. Gus Williams with the Sonics. Yes, sir. Gus Williams should be in the Hall of Fame over this dude, man.